Hi DIYers, my name is Maria Hall and I'm the owner of Deck the Halls DIY Studio. Thank you so much for joining us for our newest projects, which is our Deck It Out bi-monthly subscription box. Each box will contain 2 DIY projects. The projects are beside me. They are actually one block set and then you'll reverse them. The middle project that you see right here is the bonus project. So some of you will be receiving that. I am so excited to have you a part of our Deck It Out community, and I look forward to DIYing with you every other month. Hey DIYers, let's take a look at what came in your Deck It Out kit. You will have a scarf, so a chunk of fabric that you will tie as a scarf for your snowman. You will have a large chunky snowman. You will have a board that looks like this, which is the snowman parts. You will have the love gnome. This is the nose. This is the hand and the hands and the heart that will go over the top of that, and that is taped on the back for you. You will have 3 chunky hearts. You will have 3 stencils, S-N-O-W for snow, XOXO. You will have 2 chunks of wood, 2 blocks of wood, sandpaper, detail brush, small white sponges, large white sponges, yellow sponges, glue. You will also have your paint colors, and if you were part of the crew that got your order in within the 24 hours of us launching, you will have this cute bag, and inside this cute bag will be a bow. This is your bonus project. Okay, so you'll have a block, a dowel, a larger heart than those other ones, gems, and the bow. Some things that I like to have on hand when I am DIYing, and things that we have readily available in the studio: scissors, X-Acto knife. If you don't have an X-Acto knife, a push pin, a screw, a tweezers, something with a sharper tip will be helpful. You will be using this to pick out the insides of the stencils once they are on your blocks. And then I love to have baby wipes on hand. We paint with baby wipes a lot of times in the studio. Also, baby wipes will clean up your hands while you're DIYing. You will also have this craft paper. This craft paper was used to also keep your items in place while we shipped, but also this craft paper, lay it down and it will be your workspace, so that when you are done with your project, you can just grab it all, crumple it up, and throw it away. So it'll keep your workspace ready and clean. Okay, let's dive in. So you have your blocks. If you have the bonus project, I would suggest you could also start painting this as well if you wanted. So your 2 blocks of lumber, okay? Take a look at them. They are true lumber, so they are gonna have characteristic features to them, meaning knots and grooves and veining, okay? So take a look, determine which side you want snow to be on and which side you want your Valentine to be on. With the knots, we have sanded these really well for you. Just keep in mind that if you don't want them to be very well seen like this one, I would paint this side the navy blue. Okay, so I just want you to take some time to consider what side you want your snowman and which side you want your Valentine on. And then let's get painting. So 2 ways to paint. If you have baby wipes on hand, you can grab a baby wipe, go over to your paint. Okay, I just dip my hand in the paint, got a good amount on, and then just paint it on. When kids are in the studio, I tell them it's like you're wiping a counter. You're scrubbing off your counter, your kitchen counter. So just smooth it over. Now, in my photo that you've seen, I paint my sides white, so I'm gonna be very aware of what I'm painting here. Your other way you could paint, see, and then you can wipe your hands off. The other way you could paint is to grab your sponge I would use the larger sponge, put a little bit of paint on there, and then you'll do the same thing, but just paint on here. If you want a thicker look of paint, more coverage, I would use the sponge and do a couple coats. If you want to see the veining, and if you want it to dry really fast, I would use the baby wipe. But either way, cover all 4 sides, well, more than 4 sides. Cover all sides the way you would like them to be covered, to your discretion, and then let them dry. You can blow dry these if you would like. This is the only time that I would say blow dry, because when we get stencils involved, we don't do that. Using the scissors, I can just trim off this side and I can start to paint my small block. One thing I want you to keep in mind when you paint this is to not paint in the hole. So just take your sponge, paint around it, but don't get paint in the hole, because when you put your dowel in, you don't want to clog it all with paint, otherwise it won't fit. The same will go for the heart. When you paint on this side, don't put paint in that spot either. Okay, so let's do our painting and then we'll come back for our next steps. All right, while your blocks are drying, okay, put those aside. We'll get started on the snowman head. So here's my blocks. I'm gonna set them aside to dry. We can get started on the snowman head. So for the snowman head, and you could get started on your set of 3 hearts. There we are. Okay. Now, to paint the set of 3 hearts, you're gonna do just what you did with those blocks. You're just gonna paint. For the snowman, I'm taking all of his pieces off because I had those to show you. I'll put those aside for now. For the snowman, you're gonna just paint the snowman however you would like him. I would recommend painting the sides, okay? So I'm just gonna paint him white because I want a white snowman. If you want a different color snowman, that would be cool. And it's okay if I get some white up where his hat is, because it's going to be covered up by the other piece, the other hat piece, okay? And then I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna make sure that I paint my edges. Now I don't have to paint the back of the snowman unless you want to. You totally can. But I'm not going to paint it because I'm not intending to do anything with that other side. But if you wanted to make a different kind of snowman face, sure, that would be really cool. So you're just painting, again, get the coverage that you desire, that you would like. And then what I'm gonna do, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna take my black sponge, and this is too much paint, so dab a little bit of it off, and then I'm going to run the black paint along the edge of the snowman's hat, because you will see this part, okay? So you'll want to make sure you do paint the edge of the hat along with the edge of his face or his body. Okay, so you'll finish that part and then take a look at your hearts. You can use your sponges from before. I had a light pink, a white, and a red heart before, so I'll probably do that. And then with the hearts, I did not paint both sides, but you are certainly welcome to. It would be kind of cool to paint the heart one way on this side and maybe do a different way on this side, because then you can always mix and match, which would be really fun. So again, you're just taking your sponge and you're painting to the desired look that you want to achieve. I am dabbing here, but you don't have to. You can just paint. So let's take time to paint our, I call these chunky pieces because they are freestanding. So let's take time to paint those and then we'll come back for more. Okay, to achieve, so I finished the ombre look and I'm gonna put that one down. To achieve the polka dot look that you saw in our photo, I use either my X-Acto knife tip, or I've included the detail brush, or you could take a pencil and sharpen it so it's a nice sharp tip, and then just take the end of it, and then I just dotted, okay? Now you could do larger spots, or you could do smaller ones, or you could do pattern, or you could do stripes. So many different options with this. I am excited to see what you come up with. So feel free to take some time and create your hearts. Now that we have our cutout pieces painted, we will move on to our smaller cutouts, which are the word love with the gnome and the snowman. Okay, we're gonna start by painting the snowman pieces. If you want, you can take a small piece of painter's tape or a large one, and I attached the mouth and the two eyes to it simply to help me hold down the pieces. So you're just gonna put a very little piece, or sorry, a little bit of paint. I'm still working off the paint spot that I had from before. Very little paint, and you're just going to dab. Okay, you'll notice that these projects or these pieces do not take a lot of paint to cover. Okay, so I'll put those to a side. I'll repeat the same process with the hat, just painting it. These are lasered projects, so that means that the edges are burnt. So you don't have to paint them. They look great as they come, but if you want to paint them when you get to the nose, you certainly can. Okay, so again, achieve the coverage that you would like on the hat. Use one of your other sponges. I'm gonna use the small one for the orange nose. Again, not a lot of paint is needed, so I'm gonna dab it off. And I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna dab on my nose. If you want to take your detail brush, you can use your baby wipes or wet paper towel to wipe it off. If you want to come back and add the lines to add a little bit of detail to your nose, that would be awesome. And then you can use the sponge you were using before for your snowflake. Notice I did not even dab it in paint because I have so much paint already in my sponge. So just go ahead and paint your snowflake. And then when we're done with these, we'll move on to our word love. Okay, let's take a look at this, the word love and then the little pieces that we have. On the back, it is taped with painter's tape. You will need that later. So to start, let's just talk about painting. You're gonna use your small sponges to paint here. So decide what color you want your letters. I'm gonna paint mine red. I'm going to leave the gnome for later. So to paint, I'm gonna take my red, I'm gonna dab it in and dab it off. So we have not a lot of paint. And the red will take a few coats to get that bright red. Okay, a little trick I have learned over time is to take a little bit of my white paint and have it mix with my red, not to make pink, but it just thickens the red up a little bit. And it makes it a brighter red. So I usually try to do that for my first coat of of red, and then I'll come back with just the solid red as my second coat. Okay, so that's an option for you if you're doing red. If you're not doing red, that's okay too. I can't wait to see what you do. So dab. Now, one thing you want to make sure you're doing on this part is not getting too much paint in the grooves or in the cuts of the letter, because we do want these letters to come out. We are going to have them come out and we're going to glue them on to our block that is drying. Okay, so I have my block drying over here. It probably is dry for you guys too. And that's good because we want this part to get painted, and then we're gonna put all of our pieces together. While this part is drying, it kind of looks a little wild right now, but we'll come back to that. I'm going to paint, because my block is light pink, I think I'm going to paint his hat the dark pink, just for fun. Change it up a little bit. So I'm gonna change the color here, but again, your project, your colors. Okay, now here's what is fun about this gnome, is I'm using my small sponge. If I get a little bit of paint, which I just did, on his nose, that's okay because his nose is up here, okay? We're gonna glue this nose on top of here. So the one spot where you wanna be a little bit more careful of would be this score line where his hat and his beard meet, okay? So I'm just gonna be a little bit more careful there. Still dabbing. Then I'm gonna find my white, which I notice now that I have two reds going, so I'm just gonna cut one of my sponges. I'm gonna get my white and I'm gonna do the same with his beard. And now you'll notice I'm going right over those score lines because my heart and my hands are up here. So I don't need to worry about being too finicky about those pieces because I have cutouts that will be going right over the top. Okay, so just dab, dab, dab your paint. Again, get the coverage that you would like. And then you'll go back and you will paint, dab these hearts up, the heart and the hands, and then the nose. Okay, and then we'll come back together and we'll talk about how we're gonna put all of these pieces now that we've painted together. For the hands, that covered really well. I would use one of your small sponges. Now I'm done with the orange because I finished his nose, the snowman's nose. So I'm just gonna cut that piece off. And then you can just come in with the small sponge. If you don't trust yourself with that, that's okay. Use the detail brush, okay? That's a little brush. Just get a little bit of paint on there. And then I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna paint the nose. And then you'll want all of this to dry before we move on to next steps. Okay, while these pieces are drying, we're gonna move on to our stencils. So you have 3 stencils and you have 1 piece of transfer tape. So start with the stencil that has transfer tape on it, which is the clear covering. For me, that is gonna be, I'm starting with the S, okay? Clear your space a little bit. You're gonna want your block. You're gonna lightly sand, nothing too crazy, okay? And then you can just wipe off. Now, if you want a more distressed look, then by all means, sand more, okay? I'm not going for a complete rustic look, so I just lightly sand. And now we're gonna get ready to use our stencil. So there are 3 pieces to your stencil. There's the transfer tape, this blue stencil, and then the backer. Right now, what you wanna do, and it might be easiest for you to do it on a completely flat surface, you're going to take and you're gonna pull back the corner, okay? Now, you want the white to be come off clean, okay? You want the blue to stay on the transfer paper, okay? Decide which side is up for you. And then you will take your stencil and you're gonna lay it down. Now I have not applied pressure yet. Once you apply pressure, you have committed, okay? You've committed. So I want you to check top to bottom, side to side that you like it, and when you do, you're gonna apply pressure, you're gonna smooth it out. Some people like to use a credit card or a squeegee to smooth it out, but I find that just putting a little bit of arm muscle into it, you're okay. Now you're gonna take the clear and we're gonna pull that back. Now this part, you wanna go slow. If your paint isn't dry all the way, your stencil will start to peel up. Just push it back down or wait longer before you do this step. Okay, you can take your stencil, your transfer tape, and put it on your next stencil, which I shouldn't have done that. Hold on, we're gonna put it on the snow one so we stay in the same spot. Okay, I'm just gonna apply that one there. Okay, now I'm ready to go. I'm gonna paint this white, so I'm gonna take my white sponge, okay? I'm gonna dab the paint off so I have very little paint on, and you're going to dab. Less is more, okay? Which means it should be tissue paper thickness that you're applying your paint with, okay? Not thick at all. The thicker your paint is, the more chance you have of it to run or bleed under your stencil, okay? And if you do really thin coats, By the time you're done doing your whole letter, you can start back at the top and do your second coat. Notice that I'm dabbing, which is kind of like a pounce, okay? I'm just dabbing and not painting. I'm not pushing that paint underneath the stencil because I'm just lightly dabbing here. 1 or 2 coats, maybe 3 if you'd like. Okay, and make sure you're staying on the blue, so don't go too far off the edge, because you'll paint off onto your blue then. Once you are happy with it, because you have done such light of coats, okay, you did not push the paint in any cracks, you should be able to peel it up. If you see puddled paint, don't peel it up. Wait, okay? Wait until that dries. When I peel up, this is the part where I do like to have my X-Acto knife because then I just pick up those little pieces. You can also wait till it's dry, okay? So there's my S. You're gonna repeat this same process for your other 2 stencils, for the NOW and then the XOXO, okay? While your NOW is drying, after we put this on and paint it, I'm going to talk us through how to put together a snowman face. Okay, so remember when you're using your stencil, you're pulling off the white. The white is clean. Your transfer tape and your blue stencil are together. You find where you like them on your board. Then you apply pressure. Put a little bit of arm muscle in there. Okay, apply pressure. Come from a corner and pull. My wood block is a little bit textured. It has a little bit of character. So it did pop up a little bit. I'm gonna come back and push that down after I put my transfer tape on there. Okay, pushing this down. Okay. And then again, lightly dab the paint. I'm gonna keep with white. Lightly dab 1 or 2 coats, and then pull up when you are done. Okay, so I want you to notice what happened here. There is a little bit of bleeding because this is a very, this block of wood has a lot of character. Okay, a lot of different grooves. So because it's still wet, I'm just gonna take my X-Acto knife and I'm just gonna scrape a little bit. Now, if you don't have an X-Acto knife at home, you could use a safety pin. You could use a screw, the tip of a screw, okay? But there we go. I fixed it all up. It's ready to go. While this is drying, let's start talking about our snowman head. Okay, make sure you have all your pieces. I did go back and put some detail on his nose. I encourage you to lay everything out where you want it. Remember, you do have that fabric piece that you can use as a scarf. So make sure you put your mouth high enough so that it doesn't interfere with your scarf. And then decide where you want your snowflake. The hat cutout is larger than the hat on the block. So just know that that is intentional. You can move that to where you'd like it. And you'll take your glue, and you don't need a ton of it. Okay, and you can just take your glue and just put it on your pieces. And I'm not doing too much, just a little dot here, dot there. It is super glue. And I'll just lay my pieces down where I want them. I might just glue on here for the hat because then I know it gets in the correct spot when I put my hat down. Okay, so go ahead, glue on all your pieces, and then we'll go back to our stencils, and we'll start in on our Valentine or February side with our love gnome word. Okay, now that I've glued all these pieces, I'm going to lay him flat like this, but off to the side to dry. let all my pieces set. Again, you're gonna take your sanding paper, lightly sand your area where you're going to apply your stencil. You always want to do that. Okay, and then you'll take your transfer tape, make sure you stick it down as best you can. About 3 times is about all you'll get use out of your transfer tape. Peel it back. Now my blue piece did come up, so I want you to just push it back down. Remember, this is like a big sticker, so try not to touch it with your hands. I try to push it from my white paper. Okay? Line it up where you would like it. Throws you off a little bit with the long swoop on the O. Apply pressure when you have it in a spot that you like. And then select a color or colors you would like to take and make your XOXO. Now this can be thrown away, okay? I'm going to do light pink and one of them in white, I think. So I'm gonna do light on my paint, right? Tissue paper thickness, dabbing. And then I'll go through and do 2 coats of paint on here. And then we'll start in on assembling our word love. Okay, once you've finished your XOXO, move that off to the side, clear your space, and we will get ready to do our word love. Now I'm looking at my board to see where I want to cover certain pieces up. Okay, so I'm gonna use my board like this. You don't have to sand because we are not putting a stencil on. However, if you want to sand, you are more than welcome to. If you wanna sand off some of the edges, or if you wanted to touch anything up, you're more than welcome to. So here we go with our gnome, or our word love and our gnome. Your nose, you can pop that out, and your heart and hands, your pieces will be connected. Mine are not, but I'm gonna just take them out so I do not lose them. But yours are connected, okay? This was trial 1. We like them better with them connected. So there's my hands. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to flip this over. And that's why I pulled out those pieces. And I'm gonna take, and I'm going to take off the tape, and I'm going to reapply it to the front. Okay? And I don't know that you'll need all of the pieces. You might just need 2 pieces. And this is just going to help you if you want to use this as a guide to line it up on your block. Now, if you don't want it as a guide, you can pop out your pieces, glue them on, and drop them on your block if you want. I just want to show you this option. Okay, I'm going to put glue on each letter, each figure. Now, I'm not putting it on that inside of the E because I don't want him. Super glue, I'm now stuck. Okay, so let's continue gluing. Like I said before I glued my finger there, you don't want to put it on that inside piece. So I'm just putting glue on here again because I was gone for a few minutes. Okay, so you're gonna take your block, and I wanted to cover up that, oh, those spots are gonna be fine. Okay, I'm gonna put this down. Now, I would line up the bottom of the board, the bottom of the boards, okay? You can apply pressure. You can peel off your tape, okay? And then you'll lightly pick it up, and your pieces will come down. Okay. So now once this is on, I just took my X-Acto knife and pulled out this little piece. You're gonna take your nose, add some glue to your nose, and stick that on. You'll be able to see those score lines. Okay, then you're gonna do the same for the heart. And then your hands, again, yours are going to be connected. Oofda. Yours will be connected, so you won't have to do this extra step that I'm doing right now. Yours will be all one piece. Okay, so I would let this dry a few minutes before you stand it up. But now you should have all of your pieces completed. Your block with your double-sided stencil, your snowman head, your 3 chunky hearts that go with your Valentine side that we're currently working on, right? And then if you were a part of our bonus project, you have your block. I didn't paint part of my dowel because that's where I held it in my hand. Okay, you can put it together. And then you did get gems. So I was just gonna arrange my gems. You got a variety of colors. I was gonna arrange my gems on here in some sort of way. Groups of 3 or 5 odd numbers generally look good to the eye. So I might just throw those up in that corner and put my bow on. And then I do have 3 more gems that I could add to the bottom down here if I wanted to. Now again, this is your project. You could add if you want or not, and then you'll have a cute little lollipop just to go with your project. Ooh, I noticed that I do have a cutout here as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna pop this little project out right there. And then you guys are all set. That will be your project. I can't wait to see what you've created. Hi everyone. Thank you for creating with me during our Deck It Out monthly subscription box. We created these projects behind me. Now, granted, we created one set that's reversible, but I wanted to show you both projects that we created today. You can arrange them however you'd like. Remember to jump onto our social media, Facebook and Instagram, and make sure you tag us in your posts. We can't wait to see what your projects look like. Also, jump into our Deck It Out Facebook group. That's where I will do our unboxings every other month. And I'll do some sneak peeks in there, and I will also do our live Deck It Out DIY night when we do put these projects together on Facebook Live. So join me in there, and then join us on social media, follow and like and tag us in any of your posts, and we look forward to creating with you the rest of the year.